Hi, in this video I'm going to talk about inverse of a function, right? So suppose a function is 1 to 1. What does that mean? That means an element in the domain has only one pair in the range, okay? That 2 has only one pair and 3 has only one pair in the range. Similarly, to be a function 1 to 1, each element in the range must have only one pair in the domain. So if each element in the domain has only one pair in the range and each element in the range has only one pair in the domain, then we call that function is 1 to 1, okay? So suppose y equals to f of x is a 1 to 1 function, then another function that is defined as follows, meaning that the domain of f of x is range of the inverse, and the range of f of x is the domain of inverse. If there is a function such that whose domain is same as range of fx and the range is same as the domain of fx, then that function is called the inverse of the function fx, and we denote the inverse by f inverse x. Let's take an example, then the things will be clear, okay? So here the function f of x has the domain 1, 2 and 3 and the range 1, 4 and 9, okay? So how does that look like? F at x equals to 1 is 1, f at 2 is 4, f at 3 is 9. So this is domain for fx, this is range for fx, okay? Now what you do is you define the function the other way, okay? Taking this as a domain and this as the range. So what happens is that function is f inverse x. That's the notation. F superscript -1 and then x. It is not same as 1 over fx though. It's just the notation for the opposite. Okay. So here f at -1, f inverse, that is f inverse at 1 is 1. F inverse at 4 is 2. F inverse at 9 is 3, like that. Okay. Let's write out. So what is f of x? When x is 1, y is 1 for f of x. x1, y1, x2, y4, x3, y9, like that, right? So 1, 1, 2, 4, and 3, 9. So what will be the inverse? Inverse will have just x and y interchange, right? So it will be like 1, 1, 4, 2, and then 9, 3, like that, okay? So that will be 1, 1, and then 4, 2, 4, 2, and then 9, 3. Right? So how do you write the domain of f and then range of f? So let's write that. So the domain of f is the set of all first x component 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And what is the range of f? Range of f is the set of collection of all y component 1, 4, 9. So there will be 1, 4, 9. Okay? Let's find out the domain of f inverse. What is the domain of f inverse? The collection of all first component 1, 4 and 9. So this is same as the domain of f inverse, right? And what is the range of f inverse? Range is 1, 2 and 3. The collection of y component, right? It is same as range of f inverse. You can see that domain of the function is same as range of the inverse function, and the range of the function is same as the domain of the inverse function, like that. So what is the meaning of inverse function in terms of the graph though? Suppose y equals to f of x is that graph, y equals to function of x, okay? Since the inverse is basically obtained, inverse of this function is obtained by interchanging x and y, then all the x component will be y component and all the y component will be x component. So that will be basically in the graph, you will get the inverse of the graph of this function will be the reflection of this graph about the line y equals to x, okay? So reflection, how does the reflection look like? So this part will look like here, because this is like that distance far here, and then it will look like this, and then that way. Okay, so this is y equals to f inverse x, that is the inverse function. So inverse function has the graph that is reflected, the original graph, you reflect the original graph, the main graph about y equals to x. So whatever you get is the graph of the inverse function. I'm going to talk about how do I find inverse of a function, okay? So the first step is you interchange x and y, meaning that all x should be replaced by y and then all y should be replaced by x. But first of all, this f of x is same as y, okay? This f of x is same as y, you replace y, you write y equals 2x cubed minus 3, and then you replace interchange x and y. After you do that, the second step is solve for y. Let's take a couple examples for that, okay? So this is same as y equals to 2x cubed minus 3, okay? Now the first step is interchange x and y. You replace x by y and y by x. You write x equals to 2y cubed minus 3, okay? Now next what we do, you solve for y. How do you solve for y? You add 3 on both sides. You get x plus 3 equals to 2y cubed. What do you do next? Divide by 2. So you get y cubed equals to x plus 3 divide 2. Now you want to solve for y, right? You want to write y by itself, not y cubed. Solve for y. So what do? You take the cube root. You're right. Take the cube root. If you take the cube root, this will be just y. On the right hand side, it will be like cube root of x plus 3 over 2. Therefore, y is same as cube root of x plus 3 over 2. And some people want to write like f inverse x. That y is basically f inverse x is basically cube root of x plus 3 divide 2. So this is how we find the inverse of a function. So first of all, write y equals to the right hand side, and then replace x by y, y by x, that is interchange x and y, and then solve for y, right? So what does that mean graphically? As we talked in the last video, if a function is given, the inverse of that function, this is like y equals to f of x. So you can say that is f of x, okay? And the graph of the inverse function will be basically the reflection of this function about the line y equals to x. So how does the reflection image look like? So this will look like this, right? That is the reflection image of the given function about the dotted line, that is y equals to x. Okay. Now let's take second example. Here y equals to x minus 3 over 2x plus 1, right? So what is the first step? So first of all, you write y for the function and then write x the other side there. So here there is y on the left, x's are on the right? And you want to solve, first of all you need to interchange x and y, meaning that x equals to y minus 3 over 2y plus 1, meaning all the x's are replaced by y, all the y's are replaced by x. Now you want to solve for y. How do you solve for y? You multiply both sides by the denominator, 2y plus 1, and then multiply by 2y plus 1. So you cancel this with that. What do you get? You got 2xy, you distribute that x with both of those, plus x equals to y minus 3. Okay, now you want to solve for y though. To solve for y, you need to move all the y terms on the left and all the non-y's on the right. So what do? Subtract x and then subtract y from both sides. What do you get? You got 2xy minus y, you cancel that equals to negative 3 minus x. That's what you got. Okay, now can you factor out y? Yes, factor out y, because you want to solve for y. You want to write just a single y on the left side. That's why you factor out y. You got 2x minus 1, because when you factor out y, there is 2x left, there is just 1 left, equals to negative 3 minus x. That's what you got. Okay, now how do you solve for y from this step? You divide both sides by 2x minus 1. So divide by 2x minus 1, divide by 2x minus 1. So what do you get? So y equals negative 3 minus x over 2x minus 1. Okay, so this is basically the inverse, or you can write f inverse x equals to that thing. This is basically the inverse of the given function. Okay, so let me ask you this. can you tell me what is the domain of gx? What is the domain of gx? So you solve the bottom for x, right? You got x equals to negative 1/2. So all real numbers except x equals to negative 1/2. All real numbers except x equals to negative 1/2. That is the domain of gx. So the domain is same as domain of the function is same as range of the inverse function. So the range of the inverse function is all the real numbers except x equals to negative 1/2. How about the range of gx? So to find out the range of gx, what you do is you find the domain of the function, inverse function. Okay, what is the domain of this function? All real numbers except x equals to 1/2, right? So the domain of the inverse is same as range of the function, and also domain of the function is same as the range of the inverse, right? So the domain of this is same as range of that, and the domain of this is same as range of that. So how do you write that? So domain of g is equals to range of g inverse. This is the g inverse there, right? So how much is that? So this is basically all real. So domain of g. So domain of g, right? So domain of g is all real numbers except x equals to negative 1/2, right? So how do we write that? X such that x not equals to negative 1/2. That is the domain of g or range of g inverse. How about the other thing? So range of g, this is equals to domain of g inverse. So what is the domain of g inverse? That's the g inverse, right? So domain of g inverse is all real numbers except x equals to 1/2. That's how we find domain and range of a function and its inverse. All right, thank you guys.